Hey class, welcome to book 5. So, we didn't finish book 4. Basically, at the end of book 4, um, you had fighting start up again. You have Agamemnon going around trying to be the leader and basically get his troops to fight. He has, as is always true with Agamemnon, he's sometimes successful, sometimes not. Agamemnon's a guy who Homer seems to love to both make look good at times, but make look bad way more often. So that's basically what happens. We have fighting. There's a lot of people dying, and we jump into book 5, and we have Diomedes Aristeia. So what is Aristeia? Well, Aristeia is a hero's finest moment, and so really you could look at book 5 as a um, as a chapter on Diomedes' finest moments. Now, do you guys remember Diomedes? He was the youngest Achaean warrior. So this is the youngest Achaean warrior, and he's going to have an incredibly powerful moment in which his power rivals even the gods. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's go ahead and just start jumping in. So there to Tydeus' son, all right, so that's Diomedes' father is Tydeus, all right, Tydeus maybe, okay. Diomedes, so to Tydeus' son, Diomedes, Pallas Athena granted strength and daring that he might be conspicuous among all the Argives and win the glory of valor. So what's valor? Well, valor is bravery. All right, so that's bravery. All right, so the glory of bravery. Okay. She made weariless fire blaze from a shield and helmet, like that of a star of the waning summer, who beyond all stars rises bathed in the ocean stream to glitter in brilliance. This is, if you were to remember from chapter 4, this is one of those beautiful similes that I love to point out in the Iliad. So, fire like a star. All right. And such was the fire that she made blaze from his head and his shoulders, and urged him into the middle fighting where most were struggling. So no, glory is found in the middle fighting. Of course it is, right? It's found where the action is the thickest. Now the question you might ask is why fire? Right? Why fire? Well, it's not immediately clear, but this would be an interesting question to ask during a seminar or maybe during class when we're discussing the chapter. Fire obviously has connotations of power, right? Or maybe you know the story of Prometheus. Right? Who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humans. Fire being one of the things that separated the gods from the humans. So perhaps Diomedes' fire is a symbol of him being like a god. So it's not immediately clear, but it's interesting to talk about. And these are the types of things that you're going to want to bring up as you have discussions in class. Okay, moving on. There was a man of the Trojans, Dares, blameless and bountiful, a priest consecrated to Hephaestus. So he's a priest, right? We have these priests, and he follows Hephaestus, right? So remember we had the priest at the beginning of the book, who was the priest of Apollo. Well, this priest is the priest of Hephaestus, and he had two sons, Phaeacius and Adios, both well skilled in fighting. These two, breaking from the ranks of the others, charged against him. That would be Diomedes, right? Riding their chariot as Diomedes came on and dismounted. Now, as in their advance, these had come close to each other, the first of the two, Phages, let go of his spear, foreshadowing. Now, this is just something that I like to do when I'm reading. Sometimes these descriptions, okay, I like to try and figure out why they're there. Does the foreshadowing means that it is thrown far, like the thrown distance here? Or is it the length of the spear? Or is it something else? It's just interesting to think about. If any of you guys have any answers, let me know. Over the left shoulder of Tydeus' son, Diomedes, passed the pointed spear, nor struck his body. And Diomedes thereafter threw with the bronze. Okay, so Phagus throws first, and then Diomedes throws. The weapon cast from his hand flew not in vain, but struck the chest between the nipples, and hurled from him from behind his horses. So, Phagus misses, but Diomedes strikes him straight in the middle of the chest, right where the heart is, probably. And Adios, leaping, left the fair-wrought chariot, nor had he the courage to stand over his stricken brother. So Adios is running for his life at this moment. Even so, he could not have escaped the black death spirit. All right, so he would not have escaped, but Hephaestus caught him and rescued him, shrouded in darkness, that the aged man may not be left altogether desolate. Desolate means sad and very alone. Who's the aged man? Well, obviously that is Adios' father. That would be all the way back to the top to Darius, right? But the son of the high-hearted Tydeus, okay, I forgot to circle that there. So that's obviously, okay, Diomedes again. Drove off the horses and gave them to his company. So that would be his men that came with him to lead back to the hollow vessels, back to the ships. So he's getting the spoils of war. Now as the high-hearted Trojans watched the two sons of Darius, one running away and one cut down by the side of the chariot, right? One is running away, one's dead. The anger in all of them was stirred, but great Athena took violent Ares by hand. Now think about it. Ares loves bloodshed and battle, and so he would be very excited at all the carnage going on. And in words she spoke to him, Ares, Ares, manslaughtering, bloodstained, stormer of strong walls. Shall we not leave the Trojans and Achaeans to struggle after whatever way Zeus Father grants glory to either, while we two give ground together and avoid Zeus's anger? So Athena tells Ares not to get involved. Why? Because Zeus, they need to honor what Zeus wants to do. All right, moving on. So she spoke, that's Athena, and led violent Ares out of the fighting, and afterwards caused him to sit down by the sands of Scamandros, that's a river, near Troy, while the Danaans bent the Trojans back, and each of the princes killed his man. So the Achaeans are successful here. We're going to get a list of people of Achaeans that kill their man. It's just going to be a list. So let's go ahead and look at them. The first, the lord of men, Agamemnon, hurled Odios, the lord of the Halzones, from his chariot. For in his back, even as he was turning, the spear fixed between the shoulders, and it was driven on through the chest beyond it. Now I want you to pay attention, because this is going to be exactly copied further down, because remember, we're memorizing, so we repeat phrases. He fell thunderously, and his armor clattered upon him. Idomeneus killed Phaestus, the son of Maeonian Boros, who had come on top out of Tarna with the deep soil. Idomeneus, the spear renowned, stabbed this man just as he was mounting behind his horses, with a long spear driven into the right shoulder. He dropped from the chariot, and hateful darkness took hold of him. Hateful darkness here, it obviously means death, right? Death took hold of him. The henchman, which means helper, of Idomeneus stripped the armor from Phaestus, while Menelaus, the son of Atreus, killed with a sharp spear Strophios' son, a man of wisdom and the chase, Scamandrios, the fine huntsman of Greece. Now, if you're like, wait, I know that name. Yeah, it's Scamandrios, very similar to Scamandros, but this is a river and this is a man. Artemis herself had taught him to strike down the very wild thing that grows in the mountain forest. And once again, if you were a member from book 4, I like to highlight backstories here so I don't get confused. Yet Artemis, the showering arrows, could not now help him. No, nor the long spear cast in which he had been preeminent. But Menelaus, the spear-famed son of Atreus, stabbed him as he fled away before him, and the back of the spear thrust between the shoulders and driven through the chest beyond it. Wait. The spear fixed between the shoulder and was driven through the chest beyond it. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty stinking close, right? Well, they're brothers, makes sense. He dropped forward on his face, and his brother clattered upon him. He fell thunderously, and his armor clattered upon him. Interesting. Okay, moving on. We have a few more deaths to look at. So, Meriones in turn killed Phereclus, the son of Harmonides, the smith, who understood how to make with his hand all the intricate things, since above all others Pallas Athena had loved him. Okay, so he's a smith. He who had built for Alexandros, Paris, the balanced ships. Let me get this just lined up. The balanced ships, beginning of evil, fatal to the other Trojans, and to him, since he knew nothing of the gods' plans. So he created the ships that allowed Paris to go steal Helen. This man, Meriones, pursued, and overtaking him, struck him in the right buttocks, and the spearhead drove straight on, passing under the bone and into the bladder. Oh! He dropped, screaming, to his knees, and death was a mist about him. Talk about some gruesome deaths here, right? Meges, in turn, killed Pedios, the son of Antenor, who, bastard just means illegitimate. In other words, he wasn't born to the wife. He was born outside of maybe a concubine or some other woman, okay? But he was still nursed by Lothiano, the wife of his father, with close care as for her own children, to pleasure her husband, because I guess her husband wanted her to do that. Now the son of Phyleus, the spear fame, closing upon him, we're talking about Pedios. Okay, so obviously Meges' father is Phyleus. That's how you read that. Closing upon him, struck him with a sharp spear behind the head at the tendon. So probably right below the skull. And straight on through the teeth, and under the tongue cut the bronze blade, and he dropped in the dust, gripping in his teeth and the cold bronze. Oh, this is gross, but this may be the best death description. I don't know. We got another one coming up right now. Eurypoplos, Eumaean's son, killed brilliant Hespencer, son of the high-hearted Dolopian, he who was made Scamandros' priest, that's the river, and was honored about the countryside as a god is. This man, Eurypylos, the shining son of Aemon, running in the chase as he fled before him, struck in the shoulder with a blow swept from the sword, and cut the arm's weight from him, so he chopped off his arm. So the arm dropped, bleeding to the ground, and the Red Death and Destiny the Powerful took hold of both eyes. Now here all the different ways we have death. Destiny the Powerful took hold of both eyes. That's their destiny, right? He dropped in the dust, gripping in his teeth the cold bronze, right? Death was a mist above him. We had some other ones before. All sorts of ways to describe somebody dying. Okay, moving on. So that would be the Achaeans, right? So they went about their work, all about the strong encounter, but you could not have told on which side Tydeus' son, that's Diomedes, was fighting, whether he were one with the Trojans or with the Achaeans. In other words, there's so much carnage going on, you don't even know what side he's on. Since he went storing up the plain, and here's another one of those beautiful similes again, like a winter swollen river in spate that scatters the dikes in its running current. One that the strong compacted dikes can contain no longer. So even if you had dikes or dams, it would break the dams. This is how powerful Diomedes was. Nor do the mounted banks of the blossoming vineyards hold it. Rising sunny as Zeus's rain makes heavy the water, and many lovely works of the young men crumble beneath it. So Diomedes is like a swollen river. That's that beautiful simile. Like these massed battalions of the Trojans, so like the dikes, right? Like the dikes, the massed battalions of the Trojans were scattered by Tydeus' son. That's once again Diomedes. And many as they were, they could not stand against him. So they can't stop him. Now, as the shining son of Lycaon, Pandarus, remember Pandarus is the one who shot Menelaus, who Athena convinced to shoot Menelaus, watched him storming up the plain, scattering the battalions before him. And once he strained at the bent bow against the son of Tydeus, and shot and hit him as he charged forward in the right shoulder at the hollow of the corslet, and the bitter arrow went straight through. So Pandarus hits Diomedes. Holding clean to its way. Now note here that anytime there's a clean wound, it's usually not devastating, right? It's not going to be the end of the person. And the corslet was all blood spattered. And the shining son of Lycaon, that's Pandarus again, cried out in a great voice, "Rise up, Trojans, O high-hearted lashers of horses. Now the best of the Achaeans is hit, and I think that he will not long hold up under the strong arrow, if truly Apollo, Lord and son of Zeus, stirred me to come forth from Lycia." So he spoke, vaunting, that's bragging, Pandarus is bragging, but the swift arrow had not broken him. Who's him? That's Diomedes. And he, Diomedes, drew back again to his chariot and horses, and stood there speaking to Sthenelus, the son of Capaneus. Okay, so that's going to be, obviously, that's one of his companions. All right, so Diomedes is speaking here. "Come, dear friend, son of Capaneus, step down from the chariot, so that you may pull out from my shoulder this bitter arrow." So he spoke, and Sthenelus sprang to the ground from the chariot, and standing beside him, pulled the sharp arrow clean through his shoulder, like a fishhook. Have you ever done a fishhook? That's what you're supposed to do. Push it through. And the blood shot up, spurting through the delicate tunic. Now Diomedes of the great war cry, that's actually an interesting epithet, of the great war cry, spoke aloud, praying, "Hear me now, Etritone, the daughter of Zeus." Etritone is another word for Athena. So hear me now, Athena. "If ever before in kindliness you stood by my father through the terror of fighting, be my friend now also, Athena. Grant me that I may kill this man and come within spear cast." Right, so that would be, because he doesn't have a bow, but if he can get within spear cast, he can kill him. "Who shot me before I could see him, and now boasts over me, saying that I cannot live to look much longer on the shining sunlight." So obviously here, Diomedes wants strength to kill Pandarus. Something here I would maybe mention if it was just me, is archery considered cowardly? Right? "Who shot me before I could see him?" It'd be an interesting discussion. How did the Greeks see archery? So moving on. "So he spoke in prayer, and Pallas Athena heard him. She made his limbs light again, and his feet and his hands above them. And standing close beside him, she spoke and addressed him with winged words." All right, so she's healed him, basically, or gave him strength to go on. Be of good courage now, Diomedes, to fight with the Trojans, since I have put inside your chest the strength of your father, Untremulous. Untremulous is a fantastic word. Tremulous simply means uh, um, shaking. So this would be steady. Untremulous, such as the horseman Tydeus of the great shield had. I have taken away the mist from your eyes that before now was there, so that you may well recognize the God and the mortal. So Athena grants Diomedes power to see who is God and who is man. And this is important because of the next part. Therefore now if a God making trial of you, trial means if a God is attacking you or testing you, comes this way, do you not do the battle head on with the gods immortal, not with the rest? So, in other words, if a god comes at you, don't get in battle with a god. But only if Aphrodite, Zeus's daughter, comes to the fighting. Her at least you may stab with the sharp bronze. So Diomedes may pursue Aphrodite, but no other god may he pursue. All right. She spoke thus, great Athena, and went, while Tydeus' son closed once again with the champions, taking his place there, raging as he had been before to fight with the Trojans. Now the strong rage triple rage, took hold of him. And here we go. Here's a simile. And you got the green going. As of a lion. And as of a lion, whom the shepherd among his fleecy flocks in the wild lands graze as he leapt the fence of the fold, but has not killed him, but only stirred up the lion's strength, and can no more fight him off, but hides in the steeding. Okay, so this is like a lion who the shepherd has wounded but cannot kill. So the shepherd is hiding, and the frightened sheep are forsaken, and these are piled pell-mell on each other in heaps, while the lion, raging, still leaps out again over the fence of the deep yard. Such was the rage of strong Diomedes as he closed with the Trojans. So imagine your shepherd actually wounds the lion, makes the lion even more angry, right? And now the lion is jumping and coming after you. This, I can't draw a lion, but I can say he's very afraid. All right, the carnage continues. Next, he, Diomedes, killed Astynos and Hyperion, the shepherd of the people, striking one with a bronze-heeled spear above the nipple, so in the chest, and hitting the other right beside the shoulder through the collarbone with a great sword, so that the neck and back were hewn free of the shoulder. That takes a lot of strength. If you ever, you probably haven't studied this, and that's totally fine, but it takes a lot of strength just to chop somebody's heads off. So if you take off their head and their shoulder, that is a lot of strength. He left these men and went after Polydaios and Abas, sons of the great aged dream interpreter Eurydamas. Yet for these two, as they went forth, the old man did not answer their dreams, but Diomedes the powerful slew them. So these were sons of this dream interpreter, but it's just saying the old man did not answer them. He could do nothing. Now he went after the two sons of Phaenops, Xanthos and Thoon, both full-grown both. But Phaenops is stricken and sorrowful age, nor could he breed another son to leave among his possessions. So these are the only two sons he has, right? This father has no more sons. There he killed these two and took away their dear life from them both, leaving their father and their father lamentation. Lamentation is, oops, it's green, sorry, I'll just leave it because lamentation is grief. Sorry, that's green, but let's leave it. And sorrowful affliction, since he was not to welcome them home from the fighting alive still, and remoter kinsmen shared his possessions. So if you don't have sons, then some other kinsman gets your stuff, so that's what happens to this father. Next, he killed 2 children of Dardian Priam, who were in a single chariot, Echemon and Chromius. And here's another one of those similes. As among cattle, a lion leaps on the neck of an ox or a heifer, that's a female cow, that grazes among the wooded places and breaks it. So the son of Tydeus hurled both from their horses hatefully, in spite of their struggles, and stripped their armor, and gave the horses to his company to drive among the vessels. So in this description of Diomedes, D is like a lion snapping necks. Ugh. All right, let's finish this. We're almost there. Now, as Aeneas. Now, Aeneas is a character that is going to have a couple moments of fame in the Iliad. He's a minor character, but he's going to be a major character in the spring when we read the Aeneid. That's because Virgil, the Roman poet, decided to take this character, who's considered to be very noble, okay, and tie it into the Roman race. Okay, so it's like tying Rome into Greek mythology. Anyway, so that's Aeneas. So now, as Aeneas saw him, that would be Diomedes, wrecking the ranks of the warriors, he went on his way through the fighting and this spear's confusion, looking to see if he could find Pandarus the godlike. And he came upon the strong and blameless son of Lycaon. So this is obviously Pandarus. What's interesting here is in book 4, Pandarus is called foolish, right? Now he's called blameless. This goes to show, so this sometimes confuses students. Epithets are not always the same. It depends on the context. So when he shot Menelaus, he was foolish, but right now it's calling him strong and blameless. He, that's Aeneas, stood before Pandarus face to face and spoke a word to him. Pandarus, so this is Aeneas talking, right? Where are now your bow and your feathered arrows? Where your fame, in which no man here dare contend with you, nor can any man in Lycia claim is better. So Pandarus is the best archer. Right? We probably already kind of could have guessed that, but there it's clarified for us. Come then. Hold up your hands to Zeus, and let go an arrow at this strong man, whoever he may be, who does so much evil to the Trojans, since many and great are those whose knees he has broken. He's killed a lot of people. Unless this be some god who in the wrath of the Trojans for offerings failed afflicts them, the wrath of a god is hard to deal with. Now, this is a key passage for me, because this shows you that Diomedes is godlike. As a matter of fact, Aeneas and Pandarus are going to continue talking to each other, saying it is possible that this person who looks like Diomedes is actually a god. Then in answer, the shining son of Lycaon spoke to him. So Pandarus speaks back to Aeneas. Aeneas, charged with the counsels of the bronze-armored Trojans, I liken him, that's Diomedes. Okay, so let me just do that. And we know that because I liken him to the son of Tydeus. So he looks like Diomedes, the son of Tydeus. Going by his shield and the hollow eyes of his helmet, that's what his armor looks like, and by the look of his horses. But it may be a god, I am not sure, going back to this key quote. They can't tell. And if this is a man, as I think, in the valiant son of Tydeus, yet not without God does he rage so, but someone of the immortals, mantling in mist at his shoulders, stands close beside him. We already know this. This is Athena, right? Who turned my flying arrow as it struck elsewhere away from him. For I have shot my shaft already. I've already shot an arrow at him and hit him in the shoulder, the right one, hard driven through the hollow of his corslet. And I said to myself, I had hurled him down to meet Aidoneus, that's Hades. Yet still I have not beaten him. Now this is some god who is angered. So he's like, once again, maybe this is God who we've angered here. Let's just go all the way down here. Can I get all the way down? I think so. All right. But I have no horses, no chariot I could mount on, and yet somewhere in the great house of Lycoan are 11 chariots, beauties, all new made, just finished, and over them blankets lie spread, and beside each chariot one brace of horses stand there, champing their white barley notes. But Lycoan, the aged spearman, spoke to me over and over as I was on my way from the house, well compacted. Well compacted means the dirt is well compacted. Okay, so there's an epithet for a house. Not really an epithet, but an epithet-like description. Remember, they have some more dirt, okay, floors at this time. So well compacted. It could be gravel or rock, okay. Advising me, he told me to take my horses and chariots, and riding there to be lord among the Trojans in the strong encounters. I did not let him persuade me. That would have been far better. He's saying I should have brought my horses, sparing my horses, who had grown accustomed to eating all they wished, from going hungry where the men were pinned in a small place. So I left them and made my way on foot to Ilion, trusting my bow, a thing that was profiting me nothing. So this is all backstory, just saying that Pandarus is saying, I only brought my bow. I have no horses to get closer to Diomedes or to go into the fighting. I only brought my bow. I'm on foot and I have my bow. So all that I put in blue for you is just the backstory for that. For now I've drawn it against 2 of their best men. So he says, I've drawn my bow against 2 of their best men. You already know who this is. Tydeus' son, Diomedes, and the son of Atreus, Menelaus. And both these I hit and drew visible blood, yet I only wakened their anger. Imagine that he's hit 2 men, Menelaus and Diomedes, and neither of them is really in that bad of shape. So it was bad luck that I took from its peg the curved bow on that day when I carried it to Lively land. So he's either saying that he shouldn't have come at all, or he should have also brought something else other than the bow to Ilion. Moving on. At the head of my Trojans, bringing delight to brilliant Hector. Now, if I ever go home again and lay my eyes once more, let me get some names circled here, on my country and my wife and the great house with a high roof, let some stranger straightway cut my head from my shoulders if I do not break this bow in my hands and throw it in the shining fire, since as wind and nothing I have taken it with me. So he's saying, listen, if I get out of here alive, I'm getting rid of this bow. I'm done. So Pandarus is done. And perhaps in a sense, he's recognizing his foolishness. Okay? He perhaps, we're reading into it a little bit here, but perhaps in a sense he's realizing what he's done, right? If he had never let that first shaft fly, then this would have never happened. The question is if he had a choice, because Athena tricked him. So that is where we're going to end. We're going to keep going on book 5, but because this is a fantastic book, I hope you enjoyed. Take care. Bye.